Greetings, everyone. My name is Simpiwe Madlanga from the South African Astronomy to the National Science Initiative by the Department of Science and Innovation through SASTA coordinating and facilitating the various units and other actors in the science and technology arena. So I'll talk about SARAO, the organization that I come from, science engagement that we do, and then I'll hand over through an introduction and the bio of our speaker today, and then allow him to take the reins. So at SARAO, which is the South African Radio Astronomy Observatory, we are tasked with managing all radio astronomy related research in the country. And we operate as a business unit of the National Research Foundation, and in turn, technology is governed. So then the National Research Foundation, it is involved in research, of which SARAO is one of them. We have a lot of research and activities that take place, and we have operations in the Northern Cape. That is where the dishes that the organization operates are located. We have offices in Cape Town. We also have offices in Gauteng. Odwa happens to be in the Northern Cape, and he does work with the schools there. And so that I capture everything appropriately and people are able to get a better sense of what Odwa does, please allow me to quickly just read out a few points about Odwa's bio, and then I'll hand over to him to explain exactly what it is that it does. So Odwa was born in the Eastern Cape and studied a diploma in information technology through the University of South Africa. And he did data science as well, also has experience in robotics in education. And he has worked over a number of years with schools, school learners, and educators to try and help them wherever he can in terms of inspiring them towards science, engineering, and technology. And in the year 2018, he was even recognized as part of the Mail and Guardian top 200 young South Africans within the education category. So now I hand over to Odwa to then share with us and actually talk to the topic of the day. I might add that we'll be having other sessions in the coming days. And we are aware that we are in August, which is Women's Month in South Africa. And as the week progresses, you will have other speakers that indeed honor and are representative of our demographics, and specifically in recognizing and honoring the month of August being Women's Month. So Odwa, without further delays, I'll hand over to you. I hope you can still hear me well.
Yes, there was a break in between now and there, but I can hear you clearly now.
All right. Please proceed, Odwa, with your presentation. And I'll just encourage people to also check on the chats section. There will be instructions and added information that is shared there as the session continues.
Okay, let me just try and share my screen. Can I just confirm that you can see my screen on your side?
It's coming out perfectly.
Okay, let me just see. Okay, let me just, I didn't add sound. Let me just share again and just add sound. Okay. Okay, good morning to everyone who's attending. Thanks, Simpiwe, for the introduction. My name is Otto Makabuko, who has already introduced me. I work for the South African Radio Astronomy Observatory as a program coordinator for the schools. One of the programs that I am part of, or I was the one that established, was the Robotics Schools program. Let me just, I don't know why is it not moving. Okay. Feels like I'm using two screens, so just bear with me a bit so that I can just go to the other one. Okay. Okay, so Simpiwe has already given a bit of a bio about what I do. So just to give a brief background on the program as is, the program's main focus was to kind of inspire young people in their community's interest in science, technology, engineering, and maths through fun activities, which are mainly centered on children building and programming robots. So the program starts from grade 2 until grade 12. With the grade 12s, we sort of only take students that have prior experience in the program. The reason why we do this is because when their students are in grade 12, the time that they have to kind of be in part of Olympiads is a bit limited. And with robotics, there's a lot of things that students need to go through in order for them to even participate in the competitions. So we usually only take grade 12s that have previous experience, but sometimes we do take those students that we feel like, okay, we could still engage with them, but not through taking them through competitions, but just having an experience of what robotics is all about. And also I do teacher training. So we have currently 9 schools that are part of the program. In all those 9 schools, we have coaches or teachers that are the ones that are responsible for making sure that the program is continuous or is still alive in the schools. So the program started in 2016 when I came to the Northern Cape, Carnarvon. I was part of the SASTA National Youth Program. It's quite good now that I'm back giving quite of a presentation on what I've done through all the years that I was part of the program. And also after that, I was able to get an employment through such a transition to Sarau. So the program started with 5 schools in 3 different towns, which was Van Vyksvlei, Carnarvon, and Williston. And in 2017, there was an expansion of the program after seeing that there was a bit of a success with it and how the students and the teachers kind of like felt they owned the program, and we felt like, okay, we could kind of like expand it and to all the other schools that Sarau supports. So we had an increase of 6 towns, reaching 9 schools. And then in 2018, we then established the Northern Cape World Robot Olympiad, as well as the first Lego League competition in the Northern Cape. Previously, there were no Northern Cape nodes of the competitions. So after we had been participating in the Western Cape for all these competitions, we felt like we were ready at that time after having a bit of 2 to 3 years experience of running the program, now to already have a center in the Northern Cape to kind of like bring other schools or in the region to participate in the competition. And then in 2019, we were able to get a team from Carnarvon High School that was that participated or represented South Africa in the first Lego League Uruguay competition. So with the program's objective, some of the program's objective is to effect a way of introducing programming. As someone that studied IT or information technology, and having not studied any programming or coding at high school level or primary school level, I found that when you as a student get into university and start engaging with such coding or programming, it becomes a bit abstract, especially if you had no prior computer experience, even typing in experience. So robotics kind of like affects the way of introducing programming, especially that it engages with the use of images as the way of introducing programming versus just the coding as it is, but with a picture that kind of like shows the learner what exactly that kind of code does. And then with mechanics, putting the robot together and fitting parts of together is one of the ways that learners learn a bit about mechanics, especially with gears that they learn in technology, which is part of the robotics that they learn also. Providing skills useful in the future employment. We know that robotics is one of the things that are talked about nowadays, that it's one of the future careers. There's going to be future careers that are not yet there now, that we kind of like are preparing the learners now for using robotics. Teaching maths, physical science is one of the ways that, as much as some people might say there's limitations when it comes to that in robotics, there's angles that learners have to measure when they're turning, physics when it comes to friction of the wheels, the circumference of the wheel, it's part of maths. So there are still some factors or things that are part of robotics that still learners can learn their maths and physical science through, and also hands-on learning and engagement. With robotics, there's no limit to that. Learners can, it's quite one of the ways that they can have fun using robotics while still able to learn something. With the competition, so while we're having the program, we also have competitions that the learners do participate in. 4 of the competitions that we usually put our learners in is the first Lego League, the virtual gear competition, the World Robot Olympiad, and the first Lego League Junior. So the first Lego League Junior is a competition in which we kind of like prepare the learners for an upper or a more advanced robotics than what they have in a junior format. So with the junior, as kids that are in grade 2, 3, and 4. So it's a preparation for the more experienced or the more advanced robotics. And then with the first Lego League, it's a competition that has a maximum of 9 to 10 learners that participate. It can be kids from age 6 to 16 years of age, if I'm correct. So in this video that I'm going to show you, it's one of the teams that won, that came from Carnarvon High School and won first place in the Inspiration Award in Uruguay 2019.
The first place for the Inspiration Award goes to el primer lugar de inspiraciones para Galaxy
Okay, I'm not sure if the sound was there, but I believe so. In 2018, as I have already said, we then started establishing the Northern Cape Regional Competition. So the video that I had prepared was for showcasing the very first Northern Cape Regional Competition, which took place in Carnarvon. I'm just going to play that, and then we'll proceed with the presentation. I'm just not sure is this going off. Okay, that's good. So I've just prepared also some pictures that showcase when the team was in Uruguay. The team was also invited by the Premier of the Northern Cape at the state of the province in 2019. And then we also partake in the virtual gear competition. So the virtual gear competition, as I've said, is a competition that is run by Texas Tech University in America. This competition is usually online in the first quarter of the year. So the video that I'm just going to briefly showcase a bit is one of the first teams that we had that won third place for the competition in 2017. It's just a trial run that they prepared. And also this video will probably showcase some of the things that on a competition perspective, what some of the things that a robot can do in situations like that. 3, 2, 1, go!
Team Dinosaurs, go!
some of the photos that I also prepared was the certificate that they won, which showcases the 3rd place on the virtual competition. And also one thing that happened on the day that we were preparing, or on the day of the competition, was that Dr. Rob Adams was present on the day of the competition when it was taking place online. So immediately when we got the results, he was already there at that time, meeting with the principal. But it was quite a good space that to have him present at that moment when the learners were participating. So on the picture also, you can see the 2 learners that were part of the team, and also the school principal from Carnarvon Primary. And also the 3rd competition that usually the learners partake in is the World Robot Olympiad. So we also have the World Robot Olympiad Northern Cape regional competition, which take place also at Carnarvon High School. You can see on the pictures also that I prepared there. On the right side picture, it's the team from Carnarvon High School that won 3rd place at the World Robot Olympiad National Competition in 2019. I think that's the last competition that the learners did participate in before COVID happened. But yeah, so on the other side, yeah, it's the competition in 2019 that all the learners participated in. And then the last competition that usually takes place in Carnarvon is the Junior FLL, or the Junior First Lego League. So as I've said, this is a competition for learners to prepare them for a much advanced robotics experience than what they do in a junior or in a elementary level. And then when it comes to challenges establishing such a program, so when I arrived in 2016, one of the biggest challenges was language barrier. Usually learners in the Northern Cape are taught in Afrikaans, and I came from a background whereby I was used to teaching robotics in English. So trying to adapt to get technology terms, converting them into Afrikaans was one of the biggest challenges, especially at the primary school level. At a high school level, students kind of like understand you when you speak in English. And the other challenge was distance. So Northern Cape as a huge land that has vast distances in between towns, where you can travel for hundreds of kilometers without any house or any filling station in between, and it's one kind of an experience if you travel around the Northern Cape. So reaching those schools that are further away from Carnarvon is quite a difficult task to do. But yeah, the other challenge is computer skills. We know that our primary schools, especially government schools, do not introduce computer literacy at primary school level, most of them. So in the Karoo, especially learners at the primary school level, usually are not so clued up when it comes to computers or tech as in general because of their backgrounds. So with coming from in Pretoria, where I was teaching robotics, it was a bit different, whereby even at primary school, learners still kind of like know a bit of technology and a bit of computer terms. But when you come to the Karoo, it's a bit different, whereby you need to do a bit of an intro before you even engage in trying to get the learners to understand what is robotics and what it entails. Security. Most of our schools do not have a secure space to store robotics kits. I've had challenges whereby stuff have been stolen, like laptops, your robots. It becomes a bit difficult. So finding an adequate space that is secure is one of the things that one must consider when they try to get such a program started in their schools or in their communities. Coaches or people that are mentors, kind of like, if I found it difficult when I started introducing the program in the schools. Some teachers would have a buy into the program, and some were a bit reluctant to be part because they felt like it's a more burden for them having such a program. It's going to take much more of their time or other engagement that they would probably be doing. So, but as time goes on, I've kind of like had an experience whereby there is a gradual kind of like liking or accepting the program in most of the schools, as much as now we have like 9 schools that are part, and in those 9 schools you'll find that now the capacity of the coaches that we have has moved from only just being 1 person to more than like 3 in some of the schools, because of how they are much more interested now. And especially after, I think this also happened, especially after most of them saw that kids from a small town like Carnarvon were able to represent South Africa in an international level. Now, I think some might have, it kind of like changed their perspective on how this could be big, or it could take them into a bigger stage whereby they could engage with the world around. Resource expenses, robotics can be a bit expensive, if I could say, especially if as a person you are starting it in a school. But in our days, in the last few years, there have been like grants or sponsorship that the likes of First Lego League have been giving to schools that want to be part of such programs. So I would say that as much as it's still a bit expensive, one could go the route of getting grants to start such a program. But if then it needs to be that learners have to go and participate in a national or in an international competition, I still find that it's a bit expensive for those schools that come from rural areas, because traveling to an overseas or an international, going into an international competition is quite expensive. From flights to trying to register the learners, you'd find that even registration is a bit expensive. So the contributions that robotics does have on the learners is from engaging to fun to scalable to inclusiveness. When we're talking about engaging, robotics is kind of like you are able to, as a coach, to curate the curriculum to a certain degree whereby the students can have far more experience just working with a physical robot. When it comes to fun, robotics is much more fun because learners, immediately they see their robot moving. It's one of the first things that it becomes such a good feeling for them, especially when they program it to even move a short distance. That just changes their perspective on how to on how they engage with the robot. And scalable, yeah. With scalability of the program, the program can be scalable a lot, especially because it has quite different competitions whereby there's different researches that learners or different topics that learners learn about in all of these competitions. From researches, I think 2019, they did a research about into orbit difficulties that astronauts have in space. And then when it comes to inclusiveness, prior robotics was kind of like a program for those that kind of like are privileged to buy sets and are able to participate in competitions. But now it has a bit changed a lot, especially with sponsorship and grants, whereby learners can now be able to get sponsorships or get kits through grants. And also robotics now is much more on a virtual online, especially after COVID happened. So now those that can't afford a physical robot can be able to access it through virtual platforms and still be able to participate even in an international competition just using a virtual platform. And I think with that, I am done with the presentation. For more information, you can contact me on the contact details that I placed on this last slide there. And thanks again for being part of this presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Odo, for such an insightful and informative presentation. I'm hoping that the people that have watched it will get a better understanding of what it is that you do, but to appreciate even more the circumstances that you find, the schools that you work with, the distances that you travel, the level to which the learners you are working with may have not had prior exposure to these things. There is a saying by Benjamin Franklin that, tell me, I will forget. Show me, I might remember, but when you involve me, I will surely learn. And I thought of that when you were mentioning that the first time that the learners actually code and are working through the process of building the robots, perhaps not completely visualizing what will the end result be, perhaps not having had any real experience of it, and then getting to that end point when it works, it actually responds and does the things that they had envisioned. I can only imagine the excitement and the way in which their paradigm shifts and the way in which they start looking at what is actually possible and start being familiar with things that they may have thought are far out of reach for them or are things that they only see on TV. Whenever you mention robotics, I think of movies, for example, you know, Transformers and all these other nice things that people might see through documentaries and others, and them having real life experience and touching and indeed playing with these things as they are learning. I think that's a very powerful thing. But I think it's also important to highlight how far away you are from the major cities of South Africa, even in the Northern Cape. And those learners that you engage with and the schools that you interact with there would not necessarily get this exposure. They wouldn't necessarily get a person like an Odwa to be there sharing their expertise. They wouldn't have the resources that Sarau avails so that organically, authentically, we're able to help people appreciate scientific knowledge better, but also to gradually over time gain these skills and hopefully be able to be contributors themselves. So I just felt, I think it's important to just sort of capture that as a recap for people to have a better picture of what we're talking about. and perhaps to just allow you to make any final remarks, and then we'll see if we have a few comments or a few questions that will come through the chat. We'll attend to those quickly, and then we'll close off. So I give it to you again, Odo, for any other point that you wanted to add, or something that you're thinking of now as you're listening to me, or something that could link whatever was in the presentation and you just want to reiterate. Thank you.
Yeah, just touching on the experience that you were saying that immediately when they see a robot moving, it also changes their confidence on, especially if you are in a setting of, let's say, for instance, in Carnarvon, whereby the level of confidence in learners is way too slow, way too limited, because of they are not so in a broader space like a city whereby they can engage with a lot of people around. So even trying to engage with them takes time, but the moment they see gradually stuff that they can confidently do themselves, then it kind of like changes their inner perspective of, or it kind of like makes them gain more confidence a bit. And also, especially the learners that went to Uruguay also, when they were there, me as a coach, seeing how they kind of like were all of a sudden changed a bit, the way that they were engaging with us. And just taking that experience to 2016, when I started engaging with them, versus when I was with them in 2019, whereby they were the first people to like kind of like engage. Even if they meet those other teams, they were like the first one to approach and ask where they're coming from, what is their experience in robotics. It kind of like gave me a lot of broader kind of like info on how their experience has kind of like changed in all of these years in the program, and how this program has assisted them in some way to gain that confidence. I think, yeah.
I hear you fully. Yeah. So you're saying from your side, that is all you wish to express, and you feel you've touched on everything you wanted to talk about.
Yeah.
All right. No, thank you, Odwa. I think that's a beautiful note to leave it on, the human element, where you were meeting learners, you were meeting human beings for the first time in 2016. Due to not being exposed to many different things, there was a certain level of prior knowledge. There was a certain level of confidence in coming out, sort of putting themselves across and participating in things. And you see the change, this gradual growth, as people become more confident in their abilities and what they can envision and know as being possible. And to them starting to win competitions. That's growth, and you're part of that. You can witness it. And I'm sure it's something that is very powerful when they go back home to families that may not have been exposed to such themselves, and they are essentially pushing the envelope of what is possible for people in the community, and also representing not just their small town, not just the province, but South Africa on international platforms. In that context, against that backdrop or background, I think these are powerful things, even if it's a case of a few people that are coming through the program, or a few people that are at the school at Carnarvon that are being assisted, but the impact and the quality and the commitment to still continue doing this thing for years to come, there will definitely be great fruits to be had from all these initiatives. So I thank you for that. And if no questions are there, I'd like to thank everyone who has attended today. And I wish to remind people, to encourage people that after the session, The recording will be edited accordingly and it will be posted on the relevant platforms. And for the next 3 days, we'll be having other sessions. Today, it was just Odwa and myself, but we are well aware and quite glad that we are in the month of August, which is Women's Month. And so from tomorrow onwards, it will clearly be visible that we indeed honor the initiative by our government for the month of August and indeed have people that are going to be talking about different topics on the different days. And we've tried to intentionally ensure that it is youth, it is people that have been part of Sereo capacity development initiatives, people that will talk about these things from a first-hand experience, whether it is having been supported as they were studying, whether it is working with Sereo and moving from that position to that position, and indeed in any roles that they are involved in to help other people in the various communities where the organization has operations. And so thank you very much, and we hope to see you in the next events. With that, I would then like to end the session. Thank you to everyone. Cheers.
Thank you.